All systems go?
Looks like it.
Morning, Mr. Jolly.
Good morning.
Maybe he ought to dial in.
Someone's speakers on.
How are you? Let me leave and see if that's what it is.
No, unless.
It sounds like it's coming out of yours.
Or over here.
I have left the meeting.
Or, yeah.
It's coming out of Tom's. Or the speaker here. Huh?
I know, that's what I can't.
Testing again.
Testing.
Okay.
Sounds better.
Check.
It may have been me, so I will stay off.
So the Zoom is coming over this speaker, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So that should work.
I will stay off and just. All right, are we ready to go?
Whenever you are.
I'm muted and I turned my volume all the way down.
Is your microphone muted on Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm Kevin Day, Chairman of Custer County Board of Commissioners. Today is Wednesday, February 2nd, and I will call to order our BOCC meeting. The time is now 9:01. And if we can, anybody has their cell phones, if you could mute them at this time, please. And Tom, would you lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Always want to say it.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda,
Present.
Commissioner Flower,
Present,
Attorney Clint Smith. Is he online?
he's present online, yeah.
And Clerk to the Board, Kelly Camper, present.
He doesn't know how to unmute.
He was online. He's not now.
We lost Clint.
He went to unmute.
I'm sorry, I'm present.
You're president. We knew you had high aspirations. I didn't know you made it.
He's president.
My wife wouldn't let me drive in this, so you stopped me this way today.
All right, well, thank you for being with us, sir. Audience introductions and
Jane Day, Wetmore.
we have Vernon Roth.
Yep. Vernon Roth, IT.
And Adrian Washington.
Say again.
Linda and Adrian Washington.
Okay, OEM's on and Linda's on with them.
Thank you. And then if we have anybody speaking online later, we'll have them introduce themselves as well. I guess if we have people that come in and are in the back of the room here, if they could do the same as well so that the people online know who's speaking. Any amendments to the agenda this morning?
No, sir.
None from here.
None here is.
You got to change
Oh,
HR.
Well,
and
yeah, that's true. I'd already changed it, so. Yeah, I would move that.
Oh, that's right, we do.
Amend the agenda and the staff reports by removing HR, finance, and inserting planning and zoning.
I would second. I have a motion and a second to remove HR finance from the 9:30 slot and insert planning and zoning in that time slot. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And we have no minutes today. Commissioner items, anybody have anything since yesterday?
Only thing I'd made a note of is to get clarification, is Braden going to fill out the Arpa application for the sched dues? Has that decision been made?
I don't believe we
There was some
made that.
discussion about it,
There was
but-
discussion about it.
I put that on the agenda for the 16th,
To discuss whether who's gonna do it.
I think, to discuss the whole thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I brought it up yesterday, but
Yeah, we
I,
decided to do that and he can get the format from, actually, Andrew Zeller will be here. They wanted to talk. Give us a status, so he'll let us know where they are and he can give them an application.
I have applications too.
You got it too, yeah.
Yeah, I guess my concern is if the county is going to apply for any ARPA monies, that we clearly know who's gonna fill out the
Right.
application.
I think that's Andrew.
so,
Yeah.
and I think, personally speaking, I think that would be prudent to have him do that. That way he's in the loop on all phases of that.
No reason why not.
So
That's all I have.
I can visit with him.
How are you?
Have a chair.
Made it through the snow drifts?
Does that mean we're gonna have a single point of contact for county ARP or, because I have some money, some forms I filled out.
So we'll discuss that on middle of the month, but maybe.
Okay.
From my point of view,
Definitely, maybe.
I don't think so because it takes a lot of time if everybody starts bombarding, but maybe.
Understood.
Anything from you, sir?
Yeah, I got a couple things. Did talk with Bobcat Lion people. And I got a hold of Grant County. The commissioners there did consider they're gonna support that, but they decided it wasn't any sense coming up with a resolution on it yet because they feel like I told you before, it probably won't make it through the Senate. And so if it gets to where it's on a agenda or in the fall for the public to vote for that or not, then they will know ahead of time and we'll make a good resolution and probably get a bunch of counties to support each other and lobby them. So we were going to consider it. I sent you all just now the resolution as far as Clint got. So you've got a copy of where it stands right now. And we can embellish that, fix that later as we know what's going on. Right now, it's very slow going through the legislative process. The other thing is, I'm going to forward to you for our consideration later, is got a letter from David Shipley, the Ride Telephone Company, and the guy that's working with the fiber program. They are going to submit a grant on let me pull it up here so I can tell you. So, and we'll see that just a second. Like you say, when you need it, it comes late. It's he's applying for the Reconnect 3 grant to connect 180 dwellings in the San Isabel Lake, encompassing a portion of Custer County with fiber. And highlighted in, he has a picture that's on that I sent to you. Or did I send it to you? I'll forward that. And then it has the layout of where it applies and it goes, and it is looking for us for a letter of support. And this will kind of dovetail with the program we got going anyway. So it looks like.
What company is it?
Ride Telephone Company, RTC. Shipley, David Shipley. He's on, if you go back to the minutes of our meeting on the 13th, he was there for the fiber.
There for Highline.
Yeah, for Highline. So that's that. And then Andrew Zeller's here. And we'll have Andrew, we can decide when, either during the public comment. He's got we've been talking about
where he stands, what they're gonna do, and as far as filling out the what's the budget status reports for the state, he's got a suggestion for us to consider. And it's up to us when we want to do it, either now or we can do it at a later time. This is just it's not an agenda item, but it's a commission.
On the
It's
agenda.
actually on the agenda.
Oh, wait a minute, it is on the agenda. I'm sorry.
So-
I pulled up the wrong agenda. Sorry. So he'll be here for that.
All right. Good to see you here this morning, sir.
Apologize for being late. I didn't plan well for this morning.
Well, it's been a while since you had to for something like this.
I managed to plow through the drifts on Macy, so you probably got in okay.
North Macy is hazardous.
It is.
There's one.
I'm glad I had the plow on the front of the truck.
One vehicle in the ditch.
Is it really?
So,
Really? I didn't.
Four-wheel drive.
They hit those drifts too fast and off they go.
I'm glad that you made it.
Thank you.
Hope you honked and waved on your way by Adrian's house, so.
Coward. Coward.
But
He's on.
sorry, Butch, I just had to
Week
say that.
back.
So, but welcome. I'm glad you made it in safely.
Adrian, I assumed you were zooming in from your office.
Yeah, we thought you were here for any emergency. Could be a broken leg on the sidewalk over here. And about had me down.
He's gone dark.
Did he go dark? That's all I had.
All right. Anything from you, Kelly?
No.
Clint, I skipped you. I apologize.
I've got nothing to report this morning.
Okay, thank you, sir. Hearing that then brings us to the point where we have an opportunity for public comment. If anyone has anything they would like to bring up that's not on the agenda, please feel free to do so at this time. Anybody online raising their hand? Okay. Hearing none, then we will move into our staff reports. And Bob, are you online there?
I'm online.
Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Loud and clear here.
Good. All right, I got the airport manager's report. The airport manager and Brian are up in Denver at the AOPA meeting. So I got stuck with this and I'm zooming from my office.
He meant
Anyway,
the honor.
total. Yeah, I got the honor today. Anyway, the total gas sales for January was 211. I'm just going to give these numbers in round numbers instead of all the points. Total revenue was $1,105. That means we had 898 gallons remaining in the tank. And on the 31st, we received a fuel. We received 3,522 gallons. The bay door, we're waiting for a quote and a schedule to get that repaired. The folks came out and made a temporary repair, and we got the roof repaired, so the building is secure at this time. Just for your information, all of last year from January to December 31st, we sold 7,734 gallons of fuel. We did have in our meeting January, we did have an election. We elected a new chairman of the airport board. That's Brian Anderson. The new vice chairman is me. Sharon Connolly is still the secretary. JC is still the treasurer. Al Avenue's a member. Eric Vickery is a member. Jim Van Buskirk is a member. Bob McDonald is still the airport manager. And we've got two people that are no longer on the board. Bob Giacomelli resigned. And Dan Green, we haven't seen him in over 2 years. I don't know if he ever submitted a formal resignation or not, but we assume he's not on the board anymore. That's it.
And Bob, we officially made those appointments yesterday.
Okay, great.
May I ask a question? sir?
You may, sir.
Got a question for you, Bob. Did you say you're waiting for a quote to repair the door or replace it completely?
It's going to be replaced completely. It's non-operable, but it is closed. Just can't open and close it. It's just tore up.
And which door was it?
Middle Bay,
The third
third.
door.
To the north?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So that being secured and the roof patch, you're able to get heat back in the building, I assume.
That's correct, sir.
All right. That's good. It's hard to work when it's cold.
Yes.
Okay, Bob, I got a quick one. Okay.
Yes.
I think you're aware that the plow is getting repaired and they're waiting for a quote. I think I told, I'm not sure if Bob McDonald told you, but so depending on what it is, the
Yeah.
pump is shot. And so we'll know about that. So you have to be braced one way or the other. $1,000.
Yeah, I knew it was. Yeah, I knew it was in the shop to be repaired, but I didn't know we were waiting on a quote, but it is what it is.
And of course, the county mechanics are worrying about keeping the rats out of it from now on, which is a hard thing to do. They got her straightened out. So I know using it more will alleviate that. It's sat for what, 10 years practically. I don't know if it was that long, but almost 6 years probably without using it.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So, all right, that's all I have.
Yeah, a little update on that. When I was talking with Vince, he did say the water that got into that pump pitted one of the pistons, and they're trying to either locate a piston or figure out a way to someone to repair that because it's pitted up from the water damage.
Pretty bad.
So the sealing surface is not good on it.
Boarded out, you'd have to find a bigger piston, wouldn't they?
So just a little update that way.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything for Bob here?
None here. Good job, Bob. Thanks for sitting in for Bob.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Give me a call, Jackie.
I texted her, she's at home.
She on Zoom? She's not.
Okay, I knew she might have trouble getting in, so.
Yeah.
And she did not.
She sent anything?
According to you.
She sent her report. Yes, last night I got it and I failed to send that to you. But she said in her text, she said she wants to do her report mid-month because she'll have more to report then anyway.
Anything on that report that she didn't want to highlight anything now at all?
And I didn't look at it.
Okay,
She said she'd rather wait.
good enough.
I'm given that information, if we could put her on the mid-month.
Yeah, I'll
That
do
would be
that.
good. I did speak to her early this morning, and when I called on the
Snow.
snow, and just a note on that as well. Due to the lack of heat in their office, she was going to allow Kayla to probably skip today as well. They're working with space heaters sitting by their feet because both of their heaters are out over there at this time. Okay. Did you by chance, Virginia's out today as well?
Virginia's out. And
To-
she hasn't given a report since May, so I don't know, but if you guys want to keep,
I might need.
I don't know if you want to keep it
Since
on
May.
there or. I don't know.
Last time I talked to her, she said she doesn't really give us a report. She just can show us her financial thing if we want it. If not, she says, she didn't have a sense that she needed to give a report.
She said, I guess I think there's either a requirement once or twice a year.
Mhm.
So I'm fine with
I'm
it.
good with that too.
Okay, why don't we do that? And then when she needs to come in and give a report, we can put her on.
Okay.
Rather than having her on and
Skipping over. Yeah.
skipping over.
Okay.
Okay, well, we've jumped ahead quite a ways here now, and Vernon has left. He will probably be here shortly to give his IT report.
We can move on to.
You can get OEIM on it because.
We can, while we're waiting.
He's coming, so I can
Okay.
Oh, here he is.
come and-
I figured usually when you mention his name, he's walking up the hallway to come in.
Like he waded through a drift to get here.
Something like that. Apologize, my assistant is out sick, so I'm doing double duty here. Good morning, all.
Good morning. How are you?
My turn?
Yeah. Now, is that the coat you wore in or?
Yes,
Okay, so I'll tell him you wore a light jacket.
yes, I wore a light jacket.
Did you hear that, Clint?
Stuck in the snow.
Oh, yeah, he's still on. Vernon asked us if we saw you or you were online to communicate to you that, yes, he did wear a coat today, and that's not true. He wore a light jacket.
I'm glad to hear that. I was worried about him.
Yeah. Pneumonia is a very real thing here. Good morning. So a few new things to report. One of the things that I've been working on is that's in front of you right now. I've also sent it to you as an email. Big projects that we're working on right now. I'm taking over the project of converting the sheriff's office to the Google Workspace platform. The deputy that was in charge of that has left, so I'm taking over that process. Also revamping a lot of the security cameras around the building. We're looking at some grants for that. And I'm also filling out a lot of applications for ARP. Is that?
ARPA.
ARPA, okay, ARPA, excuse me. ARPA applications. So some of the multimedia work that we're doing, some more security work, that type of thing. So I'll have a full report about that next month. And then what you have in front of you is the cell phone use policy that I've been reworking at the request of a couple of elected officials and department heads. I know that I'm just dropping it in front of you because this is by no means something that we're ready to move on. I wanted to, I've also emailed it all to you so that we can have a working copy. But basically what we're looking at here is kind of codifying the cell phone use in the county. Because right now it's kind of willy-nilly. Here's a cell phone, who gets cell phones? Who gets cell phones paid for? How are they paid for? That type of thing. So I'm trying to work out how all of the cell phones are going to be paid for correctly. We're working with public health. They have grant money that can pay for cell phones. I'm working with the sheriff's office. Some of their cell phones can be paid for with grant money. So
So you're working with all the departments,
All of
is
them.
what you're saying, and getting the options and putting together. And maybe in the end, you'll come to us with a policy that is
absolutely
either
yes.
complete or has some choices that you'll want to talk to.
And there's a couple of there's options in here in the email that I've sent you. First off, do we issue a cell phone? Do we allow people to use their personal cell phones? How much do we reimburse for a cell phone?
You can make some recommendations.
Absolutely, they're in there.
Without, okay.
Yep. And then what happens if a personal cell phone is destroyed while in company and county use, that type of thing. So these are things that I've been mulling over and trying to codify, and I wanted to bring them to you, and so that I can get your input at this.
Did you ever check with the other counties?
I have not actually.
You give a couple of them a call.
All right, I will do that. I will do that.
Questions I may, sir?
Yes.
In your opinion, which is more cost efficient? Supply a cell phone or pay them to use their own?
In certain applications, people should be supplied a cell phone. In other applications, I feel like it would be more cost effective to look at a percentage of county use and do a stipend. We get our cell phones pretty inexpensively because I worked out a deal with FirstNet. In some way, shape, or form, everyone that gets a cell phone is a first responder, whether it be fire, emergency, medicine, or law enforcement. And so our cell phones are fairly inexpensive that way.
Cheaper than paying $75 a month?
Much. We were paying when I first came on, we were paying about $75 a month per cell phone. Utilizing FirstNet, I was able to push that down significantly.
Yeah, I could see, I've just glanced through some of the language here, but if this opt-out thing then allows them to submit for reimbursement, we could have 10 or 15 phones that we're paying $75 a month for.
And I wouldn't recommend that.
So you'll add it all up and give us a good recommendation.
I will definitely.
I have a question, if I may, in regards to first paragraph.
Yes, sir.
If someone is issued a county cell phone, it states that county telephones for long distance is not permitted. A lot of the people you need to contact they're carrying out-of-state phone numbers and everything else, which makes those a long distance.
But he said personal use of the county phones.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And that first paragraph is actually the full extent of our county cell phone use right now policy. So that is what is currently stated. And everything after that, 3.5 pages is what I'm recommending. So,
And every time
Yeah, I thought the same thing initially, and I went back and went, oh, wait, personal use.
because
So,
and so our cell phone service does not come with long distance on it. So if they use a phone,
well,
inadvertently for personal use.
FirstNet cell phone has that automatic, and we are not charged for. We're not charged by call. We have unlimited calling through FirstNet.
I was gonna say, it depends on the plan.
Yes.
And there's a lot of, and you could get texting for free and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of things.
We used to pay for texting,
Right.
and got rid of that. I actually had to make my very first county international cell phone calls the other day. So
I suspect someday long distance will be a thing of the past.
probably so.
You know, WhatsApp, you can call for free anywhere in the world, and it's encrypted.
That's true. Yeah, and we can explore that. Implementing a new system like that would require a lot of training,
Right.
but we can definitely explore that.
So at the present time, just picking the sheriff's office out because I know they have a lot of phones.
Mhm.
Each deputy needs to have one.
Yes, sir.
Are they pretty much all issued a phone, or are they?
Yes, at this point in time, they're all issued a phone.
Okay,
And if I may, sir.
yes.
Clint, I'm going to reference you. So I see in your third paragraph, or really second paragraph, well, third, all county issued cell phones can be subject to core requests. I think that's maybe a statement up for debate. Clint, do you want to weigh in on that? Or have you already talked to Clint about this or?
I had a conversation with Clint about 3 years ago about that. And I talked to CTSI as well at that time. Issued cell phones are subject to a core request. Personal cell phones that are not issued but are in fact stipend are not subject.
Okay, and then again, I'm guilty. I was thinking of any cell phones, but the word issue is in there. So thank you. Nice talking.
And that's still what the law is.
Yeah, okay, thanks. I missed the word issued there, so I didn't read it very carefully. And then the only thing I would knee-jerk react to this is that who is going to make the decision if a county employee wants to opt out?
That's a very good question. And it seems to me that if you haven't already thought that there's the lines, the 3 lines, and it ought to be that commissioner that's in charge of that group ought to be able to make that call to recommend to the board. I don't know. I'm just suggesting.
I believe in there, I have they need to appeal to the office or department head, and then they would communicate with the commissioners about approving that.
Yeah, my personal opinion is that needs to be a BOCC decision or another elected official's decision.
Okay.
You put the wording here, they can apply for reimbursement for personal use. Well, I think eventually the language should say, if approved by an elected official,
Okay.
BOCC or other elected officials, they can apply for reimbursement. That's my personal,
Understood.
or that's my individual thought there.
Well, I know in regards to like City Road and Bridge, you've got it stated in there that the road boss and the assistant can be issued cell phones. My question would be, would it be able to be up to the road boss's decision if he had someone else other than one of his assistants out helping check roads and they needed to have a phone or a way to get a hold of them that way? If that would be something that he could be in charge of, or if he needs to come and ask us if he's got somebody changing and doing that or whatever.
Gotcha. That I put that down because that's the way it is right now.
Okay.
Then in red underneath there, the question is asked, how many cell phones shall be issued there? As it stands right now, there's only 2 cell phones in Road and Bridge. But if they wanted more, I think that would be between him and you.
Yeah, and bring it to Kevin, and then Kevin decides it's something.
Not quite as critical with Road and Bridge because they all have been issued radios, correct?
And I'm working on a radio use policy too.
Yeah.
I turned mine off.
That's understood. So I'm also working on a social media policy. Because once again, it's about as big as that first paragraph there. And we're moving into an age of social media abuse and prevalent use and abuse. So every single day through both my IT emails and my coroner work, I get emails from lawyers teaching courses on the importance of setting a social media use policy and implementing it across the county because it will keep us out of lawsuits. So that's, I feel like I'll be presenting that one here soon too.
Good.
I think in regards to that, when the policies were written, we were at the front end of this and things have grown exponentially since then.
Yes, indeed.
Cell phones being one. I mean,
Mhm.
I can't speak for you, but most of the rest of us remember a time when you got in your vehicle and you didn't have to worry about having a cell phone.
Yep.
Stepping into a phone booth.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
I remember my first issued cell phone when I was a criminal youth counselor, and It was so nice when I left that job to turn that cell phone back over and never pick it up again. So for about 4 years, I didn't have one. It was fantastic. So
There's still a payphone in West Cliff Petroleum. It used to be. It's a
That was-
payphone.
It was still there, but I don't know.
There used to be payphones everywhere.
Then my final thing would be the very last sentence on the whole document. I don't think point of contacts individually should be making decisions about cell phones. So I'd be comfortable with that, just saying, or the BOCC period. But
understood.
again, that's my individual opinion there. Other than that, I appreciate the work, man.
Thank you.
We have a long ways to go in a lot of areas, and this is a great start.
Appreciate taking the initiative. I don't know why you got the bug. You just woke up with a nightmare.
No, like I said, I've actually been asked by a couple of
I know
them.
you-
Yeah, exactly. I do have nightmares about some things at work, but that's all right. No, yeah, I was approached by a couple of different elected officials at different times saying, what is the actual cell phone use policy? And just to make certain, we had something a couple of years back where a deputy was charged for a lot of text messages. And when I researched the phones, this was before the switch over to FirstNet. When I researched the phones, I realized, oh, for some reason, this person's plan had a limited amount, and so they were charged $25 off of their paycheck because of work-related text messages. So figured that out and said, no, we need unlimited text messages. You can cross the board because the deputy, that's a significant way of communicating for the deputies.
Like everybody is. The young crowd is.
Yes, indeed.
They have better dexterity.
And I think we probably should prepare ourselves to face the reality that replacement of personal cell phones lost or damaged are always going to be while they're in the course of county use. Nobody's going to admit that they lost their cell phone while they were calling Safeway. And I don't know how we get around that, but
Yeah, and personal cell phones or county issued cell phones present two totally different.
yeah, if it's a county
situations
issued
there.
cell
If you're
phone.
using your own cell phone and receiving a stipend, that's something I guess I didn't even get that much there as to what the policy would be if they were using their personal cell phone for county business and it fell out of their pocket and they ran over it or something of that nature.
Well, it's a work in progress. And that's something we're going to have to.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, there's 1,000 scenarios that we can worry about.
Yeah.
My general thought, if it's a county issued cell phone, then we're responsible for it. If it's a personal cell phone, then the individual is responsible for it, whether they're on county business or not. That's why they're getting paid a
Because
stipend.
they use
That's
it
right.
for personal as
Yeah.
well.
Well, I have threatened the deputies that if they run over their cell phones, they have to buy a new one. But in all seriousness, there's a statement in there about possibly paying for insurance. That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I feel like that needs to be on a department
Right. I mean,
level.
individually, I certainly, if I lost my cell phone while I was out riding the pasture, I wouldn't come back to the county and say, hey, you need to replace my cell phone. That's just not right and it's not fair.
Well, I don't think
If it's a county one, then that's different.
that's what you sign up to. If you're going to use it, you're getting paid for the.
So, and we have
Help pay.
individuals that are carrying two cell phones because they carry a personal one and they carry a county one. And personally speaking, that is awkward and not a good thing. That's why when I was with Road and Bridge, I turned my county phone back in and opted to do the other. Because it's a pain to carry two cell phones and a radio and try to work.
Indeed.
Right.
They're always falling out of your pocket or something like that if you need to keep them on your person. So,
And there is an option. A lot of the newer cell phones have a bay for a second SIM card. So you could literally have two cell phones in one cell phone. I didn't work that in there yet, but yeah, it's a can of worms.
so then how does that work on our policy as far as being subject to?
So maybe we should avoid that one.
So, yeah, see, that
Yeah,
opens,
can of
like I say, it
worms.
opens another can of worms.
You can always add to.
And then I would say, I don't know where we draw the line as far as if we have to make every decision or department heads leave some of that into the department head. So,
Yeah, and I could entertain that conversation as long as that's in their budget. If they just start randomly telling people they'll reimburse their cell phones and it's not in their budget,
Yeah.
then that's not right. So if they budgeted for their cell phone stuff, then I guess that's, if we approve the budget, then we're off the hook. This would be BOCC.
Now, that brings up a new, another topic of discussion, sir, because right now we have county general cell phones. We have, let's see, we have DHS cell phones, we have Road and Bridge, and they are charged to, county health, Road and Bridge, and who else? OEM.
Sheriff.
Well, I'll get to those two. County health, Road and Bridge, and OEM have budget lines for their cell phones. All of the others fall under the category of county general. So, what's that?
That's okay.
Well, and it is unless a department can find grant funding for it. So for instance, public health, is it public health or DHS that's under county general?
Public.
Okay. They have grant funding that is applicable to cell phone use. Sheriff's office, some of their cell phones can be paid for by grants. So maybe we need to have a discussion next year about in budget season. Let's say you're gonna take that much money, you're gonna put it into your communication cell phone use. Just front loading.
In my view, it goes down to how we set it up now when you've got a policy.
Okay.
And I really think that to keep it efficient, Kevin touched on it a minute ago about who actually makes the decisions. If we want to make the BOCC the CEO of this company, we've got 3 managing commissioner lines with departments under for the county.
Mhm.
Then there are other departments of the elected officials. So there's categories. And each of those, in my view, if they're going to budget it, like Kelly, if she wanted to have a budget item for the clerk's office, she could do that. And if that's what we decide, that's a smart thing, and they all need phones. And then it would be that leader of that group, either the elected official or the managing commissioner, that would be first in line to see how, if somebody has a request and the road supervisor has an issue with that, then Kevin would weigh it around and decide whether it's different than policy. And then if it is warranted, they bring it to the board for
Okay.
to finalize that, because we have the final authority over all the budget. So I think once you establish that, though, with the policy, and that's what we need to discuss in after you make another round, go around and see what people really want. Personal phone, my view is a personal phone. And if I want to take the stipend, then it's up to me to maintain the phone so I can maintain the county's connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want the county, they can't, that would be crazy to pay for it. So I agree with Tom on that.
Okay.
But that's a choice, because there's some uses that are strictly county, and guys are into motor graders with a phone and falls off and Kevin runs over it, then we got to pay for it. So
yeah,
that's
and
for a good discussion. Like,
Understood.
to your comment a minute ago, if we put the line item in each department,
Mm-hmm.
that takes away having to get into the weeds of what on it. If there's a line item for it,
That's
then
right.
that means that department's responsible
right.
for it. So
budget.
I think that might be a good plan to moving forward next year when we do the budget. Let them budget for that. And say, speaking for Road and Bridge, if they have 4 phones, or 5 phones, if they have a spare phone that they give out to somebody that's going to be checking roads or somebody that needs it, and then that comes back to the office or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's just a scenario, but
Okay.
for the most part, I think I like to
For the most part, you like this? Okay, wonderful, thank
Good
you.
start.
For the next time we talk about this, the last two departments, emergency management and information technology, you notice that there's quite a lot there. If we could have a discussion about the phones and hotspots and whatnot in that area. I know it's too much to digest right now, and I need to flesh it out a little bit more. But that's going to be important moving ahead, because that talks to the subject of extra phones and extra lines and that type of thing. So,
Are there costs associated with hotspots?
oh yes, yeah. They're less than they are less money than the regular cell phone, but there is a cost.
And it can be included with a plan for a cell phone.
You can. I can turn any phone into a hotspot, which costs extra. But I'd like to codify a little bit of the of how that's done, because it is more money, and it is coming, and the majority of them are coming out of county general.
But it is a good thing. You know, I understand why OEM would want it, because you could be down in some godforsaken area with no cell coverage, and you can set up your own link hotspot that make calls with the local crews that are running around.
Indeed.
So that's something to consider. And those are in plans too. You know, everything is covered to get it cheap. You know, we have to see what you come back with.
Right. I will. Yeah, I'll continue fleshing it out and come back.
Good. All right. Anything else, like new computer for us?
You want new computers?
Mine is perfectly fine.
Okay, good deal.
Are we good? I mean, we've had these.
Well,
good and bad.
yes, these are now pushing 5 years old.
And I didn't mean just us, but we have an issue with other county computers.
So we can look at getting new computers here.
Or a policy that says they should be updated periodically or whatever.
I see. I can work on that. It depends on how people use the computers. I've replaced 2 for a couple people in the time I've been here, and I've been using the same one since I started day one.
Because you know how to get rid of the viruses.
I love them.
Before they lock up and you can't. That reminds me, I keep getting a virus that's out of date on these. Is that?
That's okay. We've moved to a different platform, so we'll take it off of there so it doesn't keep bugging you. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for your work.
Well, thank you very much. The last thing I wanted to talk about is I would like your permission to explore there are systems that we can use in conjunction with, for instance, open media, where we use basically the transparency system, where we actually have points where the BOCC admin will click on the agenda and say, we're now talking about IT staff reports, and we're now talking about the airport. We're now talking about, and so when you're watching the videos, you can actually go through and see indexing where the person is actually speaking, so you don't have to watch
people find it and have to watch everything.
Yeah, and that there is, to take that to a new level, there are systems that we can utilize that would allow not just for a person to say, oh, I want to hear them talk about the IT staff report. They can actually click on a subject, let's say a broadband tower or buying a road grader.
Oh, where were we talking about that then? That's pretty cool.
And the associated documents that went along with it. So if there was a resolution made and talked about in the county commissioner meeting, you could actually click on a location and say, take me to that document. And you could actually see the document that you voted on.
So somebody has to tag them though.
So it would fall on the BOCC admin.
That admin would be responsible for tagging.
And taking that another step further, you could actually say, you could talk about an issue that needs to be addressed, and you can say Vernon needs to be involved with that, Adrian needs to be involved with that, so and so needs to be involved with that.
And those people would, if the BOCC admin, she hears that, or excuse me, whoever hears that and says, these people need to be assigned to that, they'll get an email, they'll get saying, this is your job in this, in this aspect, in this work that needs to be done. This is your responsibility, and you are a point of contact for that. And then we can report back and say, yep, this work has been done. This work has been done. And it's all transparent. People can actually see a workflow of everything that's been talked about in the county. That's right. So with your permission, I don't have anything formal on that. With your permission, though, I was wondering if I could pursue either working with Open Media or another company like that supplies that type of software. I don't have any data points on cost or anything like that, but I was wondering if I can pursue that research.
I don't have any reason why we can't.
All right.
Can't, if we don't know what we don't know.
Okay.
We can't make a decision.
I will present. I'll present something next month then, and we can talk. It's just about transparency and making certain that all the links in a chain are communicating with everybody that they need to be. So if there's a policy that changes and every department head needs to know about it, we can actually have a record saying, yes, this person clicked yes, this person clicked yes, this person clicked yes, and it's not reliant upon an email thread or, yes, I talked to so-and-so and they're on board or something like that. We can actually see that everybody's been told this resolution and they need to be implementing it or something like that. I see the possibility of it keeping some items from falling through the cracks.
Yeah.
Where we've decided to do something and then we put something on the back burner and then we forget to take it up again. Or something like that. There's different people. For instance, the commissioners in the past have said, we are going to implement this because of this. And that is not communicated over to a new set of commissioners or even a single new commissioner. And suddenly a decision is made to change that policy, even though the conditions still exist that it needs to be there. So it would help with that.
Okay.
I think it'd be good for you to pursue it and to get some more information on that and see what's happening. Will do.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Be well, sir. Thank you.
Makes careful of those nightmares.
Yeah, exactly.
Not with the hammer. It was a car door.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, you bet. I was looking at it.
Broke the tip there. It was not a pleasant experience.
No,
Neither was melting it with a red hot paperclip.
you are a hero.
That's got a lot of relief to it when it breaks through, though.
Indeed.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. That takes us to OEM. Adrian, are you with us still?
I am still with you. You'll see two of me today because I want to have a plan B in case our power goes down. And so you'll see me, do a dual OEM. Here, so you can see me here and you can see me there. So I don't want to do that. There's a lot in my report, and there was actually it's rather difficult. And
Adrian?
Yes, sir.
I think you have two sets of speakers going. Could I have you mute one of them?
Let's see. I thought I was muted.
We're getting a lot of feedback when you're speaking.
Okay, stand by one. Okay, how's that now?
That seems to be better. Go ahead.
Okay. The first thing I would like to ask, because so much happens in emergency management in the last month of December and the first month of January, that if possible, I would ask that I be able to give a emergency management report in January and maybe amend policies a little bit because there's just too much data and there's so much that has to be signed and sent back to the state in late December. Yes, sir.
I might have you check again. It's actually making you're still feeding back and it's actually cutting you out. We're having a lot of trouble understanding what you're saying, sir.
Sounds like you're on a speaker, Adrian. Maybe I ought to go direct off to the mic on the phone.
Are you on a speakerphone?
No, sir. I actually killed the phone, so I'm surprised that I'm getting feedback. I may be getting feedback from Linda's computer standby.
Technology is great when it works.
Moving pieces.
Old David is awful white out there. That snow is sticking to his coat pretty bad.
Okay, how is that now?
Keeping busy too.
Still feeding back, sir. I'm not sure what's going on.
Sounds like you got it on speaker on your phone. It sort of sounds
Now
hard.
the phones are all off, the computers are all off. There's only one computer.
What are you speaking over, your computers?
Yeah, I'm speaking over the computer, but there are no other systems on at this
Shit
point.
hard. I don't know.
Well, it sounds a little better than it was initially.
Yeah.
And so let me turn the volume down and see if that'll help. How is that now?
It sounds like an echo, but it's doable.
It's feeding back
It's
a little
an
bit.
echo. I'm in a very large room, so there may be an echo.
Give it another try here, sir.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. How's that?
We can live with that.
Let's
Can
go
you
with
live with that?
Yes.
Okay, so my first request is that I come before the Board of County Commissioners in January because there's so much information that I have to share and there's documents that have to be signed, and waiting until the February meeting is just not working out too good.
So you're saying, other than us skipping the staff reports in January, you'd like us to have a staff report from you maybe at the mid-month meeting in January?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying.
Talking about for next year.
It can be an agenda
Yes.
item, Butch. There's no reason why you can't, we can't put it on the agenda.
Okay, so I will do that next year. Kevin, I sent you an email this like maybe 20 minutes ago. There is a document that I need a signature on. It's the annual operating plan.
We got that.
Okay, and so if you can look at that document, there was only minor changes that were made in the phone numbers and things like that. Other than that, the document is the same. But I need to have you look at pages 18 through 20. Those are the signature pages. And if you could sign that and get it back to me, if possible, today or before you leave the office, if you could sign those pages and then send them back to me as a PDF file, I'll send them on to the state.
Has the VOCC already voted to approve that AOP?
You voted last year to approve it. It's no longer an annual plan. It's simply a 5-year plan. We review it each year, but there were no significant changes from the 2021 AOP and the one for 2022. And so all you would be approving is the changes in the phone numbers and things such as that.
Well, I guess my question is, even to us, I'm of the opinion that needs to have a vote by the BOCC for him to sign that.
Okay, then I
don't know.
That's my perception, if we haven't already voted on it.
There are two things. If it's a significant change, if it's a change to the annual operating plan, we would have to. If it's not a change, it's just what is it, update on the
Phone numbers.
kind of thing, it doesn't matter to me.
And the changes they went over, I'm sorry, excuse me, sir.
It's just processes and plans and expectations of what the commissioner and what the people are, how you're operating. That would be a significant change that should be voted on.
Question, sir.
Yes.
They discussed the changes when we had this is the one we had the meeting on at the fire department a couple weeks
Yes,
ago.
sir.
And they
Yes,
went
sir.
over any changes that we had at that time.
And there were no significant
Would say
changes
there wasn't any.
to the plan.
I'm good with it like it is. That's just my opinion. Based on what we've heard.
And so basically, if we do this, looks to me like signature page on 20 and 21 on the documents that I have in front of me.
19.
Is there one on 19 as well? Yes. 19, 20, and 21.
Yes. And Shannon needs to sign it also.
Yeah, for the record, I would move that we approve the AOP as submitted by the OEM. This is a 5-year plan.
It's
It's
at least a 5-year plan. We used to renew them annually, but we moved away from that because typically there weren't that many changes. And so technically it could be a 5-year plan, but it's almost timeless now, Tom, unless there's changes.
Thank you.
Does this still come, documents still come for us for signature every year then, or just when there are any changes?
Only when there's changes.
Okay, thank you, sir. I would second that motion. I have a motion on the floor then to sign the AOP as presented by the OEM. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor of signing the AOP signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Adrian,
Yes, ma'am.
can I get a copy of that once it's signed, please?
I did send one to your email also, Kelly.
She
And
said
I will get you a copy of the signed document also.
Thank
Yes.
you. Okay.
And my
Kevin,
question for you.
If you would put a copy of that in my county box over in Virginia's office, then I will take it over to the sheriff's office to get Shannon's signature.
Okay, that was my question. You had said once of sending it back to you. But I need to sign a hard copy here, and do you want me to get that to your office today, the hard copy, or just put it in your box here?
No, if you in my box, I need to get over to Shannon for his signature as well. And I realized that after I said if you would do that, but I still need to get his signature on it also before I send it back to the state.
Okay, I will make sure we have a hard copy here for me to sign. That will go in your box. And that will be in lieu of me sending it back to you in a PDF form.
Yes.
Okay, I just
Thank
wanted
you
to
very much.
clarify that.
The next item is regarding the EOC in the box trailer that was damaged in a wind event on December 15th of last year. We received one bid, which we sent to our insurance carrier to do repairs on that trailer. There are two companies, True Value Trailer and Penrose, or I guess they actually go by Florence, that is going to submit a bid, but we wanted to get the process moving. So we took the higher proposal and submitted to the insurance company. And we have not heard back from the insurance company as of yet. The trailer was examined. It's just unfortunate that some of the panels got damaged during that event. Other than that, there was no damage inside the trailer, and none of the equipment that was in the trailer was damaged. And so that process.
Do you have a dollar figure on that, Adrian?
I didn't hear what you asked.
Have you been given a quote? And if so, how much was it?
The one proposal was $4,800. We have not received the final quote from the second vendor, so we submitted the quote we had to the insurance company, and then when we get the second quote, which I anticipate will be or could be less, but we still have to have the stenciling in there. So unfortunately, it got damaged, but I guess the blessing is that none of the equipment was in it, so none of that equipment got damaged.
All right, thank you.
The $4,800 was from which vendor?
Okay, that vendor was Transwest Truck and Trailer RV up in, I think it's pronounced Braden, Colorado.
Brighton.
This is a specialized Braden.
Brighton. Yep.
Brighton. Okay, very good. This is a specialized type of repair, and not every trailer company can repair the external siding on a trailer.
My other question is, and I know the answer, I believe, but just its exterior damage and trailer is still completely usable at this point.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Undercarriage survived. It's like a up on its side, but without scraping it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, the next item, and Tom, I believe you received a copy of it, and Kevin, your name is on the signature page. And then who else is on there? I went to Braden and then myself. And this is the most complicated thing, because they've given us in the cover letter, it says a response from the county is needed by February 20th. That's going to be kind of difficult because we have our emergency management conference. So I asked them to give us an additional 2 weeks to respond. But this is their response to the site visit that was conducted in November, and then again in December of last year. And I don't want to,
Adrian.
the day is our Colorado Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, and they are required to audit all counties that HMP, pre-disaster mitigation, or Homeland Security grants, and this is to check our compliance with Title II CFR regulations. It's the federal code that oversees the giving of grant funds to public entities. Site visit occurred in 2017, 2018, and a response was not received. And so this year they again approached the county and they wanted a response to the concerns that were presented to us back in 2017, 2018. And so the report is pretty comprehensive. What I would propose so that we can respond to this particular letter, which is lengthy. A lot of it we have somewhat addressed in the work plan for emergency management for 2022. We set aside a significant amount of time under our EMF number 2, which is the portion of my work plan that addresses policies and procedures. And the policies and procedures are both audit procedures, personnel procedures, whistleblower procedures. There's a lot into it, and I prefer not to go into the heavy details of it at this particular time. But what I would ask you gentlemen to consider is to set aside some time soon for us to have a workshop where we can look at the recommendations in the audit and then come up with a plan to address that information and get it back to folks, as quickly as possible.
Okay, forgive me, I thought that you had gathered the information to follow up on that previously. And so I thought that had been addressed, but
If I may respond to that.
yes, you may.
In the December 12th meeting with them, we addressed quite a bit of this information, and we did submit responses in this letter dated January 20th, 22. There's just some things that we could not address. I don't have the authority to write policies and procedures. So many of these things, we have to write new personnel policies and procedures. We need to update our financial management procedures within the county. And that's going to take involvement of other county staff and other departments that receive grant funding like public health, because we shouldn't simply write one policy for the Office of Emergency Management. I think we need to update our policies and procedures, and that's going to involve more than just my department. And so it's pretty comprehensive. And yes, sir.
Just kind of put a pause here just for a second. You brought up the fact there was an audit, and the audit involves a lot of comments, and some of the things are going to require county action. Yeah, as the OEM, that's your job, is to put that together and schedule a meeting with us to bring it forward. So that's what you're asking us to do, right? I mean, some of this has already been discussed, but rather than rehashing it here and now, we understand there's a need. So you can put the plan together on how we're going to get the data that's pertinent, the pertinent changes that the audit caused. If there's big issues, we need to know about them, and or the overall plan that you've got. So you know the schedule, we don't. So tell us what you're just like you did in the last plan. You have us coming to a meeting here. What day is it? The 10th or whatever the day was that you've asked us to get together.
So Bill, we could meet on the 9th, but the two meetings are on different things, but I need to have schedules and tell me will be available to have a meeting, and then I'll present.
So we need to know sort of the magnitude of that, and we don't need to do it on the same day. I wasn't proposing that. I was just saying you've got something new here that we need to be involved with to give us the plan and some options and when you can pull it together for us.
Well, I'm ready to present the findings in a letter to you at any time. We have to respond by February 20th. And as I said, I've asked them to push that back 2 weeks into the second week of March. And so I would propose that we have a meeting either before the week of the 20th or the following week, so that we can sit down and make assignments, because some of these things are not in my wheelhouse to develop. The financial things will have to come from Braden's office.
No, we understand that, Butch. We got it. Let's get a time here and figure out how much time it's going to take.
So what I'm asking, can you check your schedules and tell me when you?
Did I hear you say you will not be available the week of the 20th?
I will not be. I'll be in Fort Collins at the Emergency Management Conference.
So what's the drop dead date? You got to have decisions made, because that's not necessarily.
Well, we need to prepare a response as a county to them by February 20th. Like I said, I asked.
Well, there's no point in talking about the 20th of February then. So we have to do it next week or week. Excuse me.
He has it pushed into the second week of March at this point. He's asked for that, I guess.
Yes, I've asked for an extension of time.
Even though it was due the 20th of February, you said? Or am I missing?
We can't meet the 20th of February deadline, Bill. There's just.
I know, I get it. So, all right. But you
So I'm
can't,
asking, can you meet the week of the 13th, or can you meet with me the week of the 27th?
you're talking.
I will defer to these other two gentlemen at this point. When I went back out, I left my calendar in my pickup.
BOCC meeting, what, on the 16th or?
BOCC should be 16th, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we can't do it 16th. I can't do it the 17th at all. Or the 18th, maybe the 15th or 16th. Or 14th.
Yeah, I'm out of town to a board meeting on the 14th and 15th, not a board meeting, sorry, conference on the 14th and 15th. The 16th, obviously, will be in Wetmore for a BOCC meeting. I don't know if the chairman would want to come up in the afternoon. We could do it on the afternoon of the 16th.
I believe I can.
Do that.
That work for you, Adrian?
I'll make it work.
Okay, the afternoon of the 16th, 1:30. Reasonable time.
Okay, very good. I'll put that down.
Should give us time to get a little lunch.
Mhm.
If that meeting in Wetmore doesn't run long.
Would you like to do it? What does your schedules look like on March 1st or 2nd?
March 1st and 2nd, we have meetings up here both mornings.
Okay.
I suppose we could do it in an afternoon on the 1st or 2nd.
Might be easier for you. I'm okay with that.
Me
Did
too.
I suggest the 2nd?
Sure.
So that would be Wednesday, March 2nd.
Yes, sir.
You want to meet here in the commissioner room?
That would be fine.
That would be 1:30 again.
Why not?
Okay. So I have 3/2/22 at 1:30 to meet with you in regards to the response to the audit.
Yes, sir.
I was finally able to get that downloaded. I'm not a big Google Docs person, but they finally did send me a code that I could enter in and download it. So
What will be look at it before that meeting.
Over it right there. Take that.
what else you got?
Okay, I just want to remind you that from the 2021 Mbg grant, we still have approximately $38,000 of reimbursement coming from the state. And then on the HMP reimbursement side, there's approximately 25,000 less our in-kind contributions that will be reimbursed to the county out of that program. We are accelerating the hazard mitigation planning process because there are significant opportunities for some of these new federal grants coming forth in the second quarter of 2022. And so we would like to push forth the approval process for our hazard mitigation plan revision. We are planning another public workshop to present the document sometime in February or early March. And then if that document is approved, we will distribute the document for public comment and distribute it to you gentlemen as well for your comments. And then we're hoping to get the final draft to you for review and approval sometime around the end of the second quarter. That would be March April, May, so sometime around Memorial Day weekend, maybe get that on the agenda to get your approval of the Custer County Hazard Mitigation Plan revision.
Sounds like a plan.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, sir.
So I'm just thinking through something here, Adrian. Process wise, if we meet on the 2nd, if you want us to make a decision, then that'll have to be a special BOCC meeting. If it's informational only, we could do it as a workshop. If we do need to make a decision on that audit, maybe we ought to do it on the 1st and then as a workshop and then vote on it on the 2nd in our BOCC meeting.
It's a good idea.
I'm open to that.
Because you're going to want us to approve that, correct?
Well, I think we can approve a plan to give them on that day. I think there's going to be significant work that will have to be done over the next 2 quarters because it takes time to write policies and procedures. So yes, we could draft a letter in our workshop to respond to the concerns that they have, and then have you approve that on the 2nd, and then we can give it to them.
I think that's the cleanest way to do it.
We gotta
Really.
do it on the 1st.
Let's do it in the afternoon of the 1st then instead of the 2nd. We can look at it all and then make a decision the next day.
Okay, so
Very good.
I'm looking at Kelly now, so yeah.
Scratching and writing and
Yes,
scratching and writing.
workshop will be afternoon of
First.
Tuesday, the 1st. And we will have on our agenda for Wednesday, March 2nd, consideration of response for that audit.
Makes sense to me anyway.
Same here.
And what does the audit
It's,
have a name?
yeah, it's the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, DHSEM response.
So Homeland
For the-
Security audit.
For the site visit. Does that language work for you, Adrian?
Yes, it does.
So I've got response to Homeland Security site visit audit.
Yes.
Okay. And really, that's what the workshop is too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the workshop would be in regards to the same thing.
Okay.
Just no, be discussion, not consideration.
And then I would like to remind you that on February 9th, from 1:30 till 3 at Lang Hall, the Colorado Water Conservation Board and FEMA will present an overview to the county commissioners and other elected officials on the National Flood Insurance Program and also the statewide flood risk mapping project that is being conducted. And I have sent you copies of the agenda for that particular meeting. Once again, that meeting will be on February 9th from 1:30 till 3 at Lang Hall. And if you gentlemen would like lunch provided, we can have lunch before that meeting.
Wouldn't be necessary if we're meeting at 1:30. I had it written down at 2, but it's at 1:30.
Yeah, we try to move it up to not push it later in the day.
1:30 to 3, so I'm good without hot dogs as
I
well.
had it at 10.
No, I would get you brats.
So you moved that 9th meeting to 1:30, did you?
Will that work for you, sir?
Yeah. I just had it at 10 to noon is what you had us initially.
No, there was a conflict in your schedule, so we had to move it to the afternoon.
That's okay.
Okay, very good. The final item I have, let me just look, yeah, I'll cut these others out. But the final item is the renewal of our CDOT right-of-way permit. I'm I made the assumption that you would like to renew that permit, and that is for our variable messaging signs in the 3 locations.
I believe that would probably be, just speaking for myself, would be a correct assumption.
Yeah, we need to keep it available.
Okay, then I will go onto the CDOT site. I have a meeting with them after this meeting, and we'll begin the process of getting that renewed.
Thank you, sir.
And so I'm just looking at everything here. The final thing is that Bill did sign the 2022 Mbg Grant Application that has been submitted to the state for the Mbg program and the work plan. And I will send you, Bill has a copy of it, but I'll send you the work plan. I think it's important for you to see what the office will be involved in 2022 and our targets, because they are hard targets. It includes training and includes a lot of the rewriting of the formal agreements within the county as it pertains to grants. And so we have allocated some time to do some of the things that will be discussed in the meeting on the 1st. But it's a lengthy process, and it can't happen in a couple of weeks. It's going to happen over the course of the first 3 quarters, and I think we would have everything ready to present for adoption into the county sometime in September, October of the coming year. And that ends my report.
Thank you, sir.
You dug out to your gate yet?
Mr. Chair, 5 minutes.
I've heard of this thing called a blizzard, and I can able to see 50 feet right.
Californians are all like, you can't drive in the snow.
I'm sorry, I should have called Andrew and had him pick you up on the way in.
Yeah, to see a blizzard. Yeah.
Well, thank goodness I'll have to give the road and bridge guys department a hands up. They have plowed the road now, and they really do a good job with that.
Oh, thank you. I'll pass that along.
So thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right. I would give us a short break before we move on the agenda.
I could pay a lot better attention after a break.
You didn't have to look like you're looking for a quick way.
We're in recess.
We are in recess.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
All this talk of cell phones, and I don't have a clue where mine is. I think it's in my work jacket.
Oh, I hate it when I do that.
Because then I change jackets.
Hopefully it's not in a snowbank somewhere.
That's hopeful
That's where
too.
mine have ended up.
I really
Well,
should attach a yellow flag to my phone, you know.
I knew where I left mine when I went back to
Notebook though, so I was looking for a notebook and I thought, well.
on my cell phone. Well,
Anyway, we got it.
Have you seen the picture of Butch and I trying to ski down Horn Road on New Year's?
I did. That was a good one. Looked good. You did too.
No, we hardly.
You're scraping
All right, I will reconvene the meeting here. It is now 10:33 on my computer, so moving along, that takes care of our staff reports. Anybody have any unfinished business?
None here.
No, sir.
Okay, that will take us to new business, and public comment will be allowed for these items before we vote on them. First thing we have is consideration of tourism board request for $10,000. And Deb, are you online with us?
I am online, and I just want to clarify that $10,000 is to come from the tourism fund, not the general fund.
Thank you for that. And I did see your email that you had sent out to us. And so I guess I would ask you, that's basically what your request is for these various brochures and work on those.
Yes, we have reached out to all three entities, which is the Silver Cliff Museum, All Aboard Westcliff, and Beckwith Ranch. And of course, you realize that all of them have struggled in the past few years because of COVID. And also all of the organizations are really supported by volunteers, of which not many are professional graphic designers. And now that tourism has a contract with Shelley Larson and Joe Studio, we feel that we would like to invest back into the community in helping these entities do a better job of marketing who they are and what they do, as well as updating the Custer County Then and Now historic touring booklet that was last printed in 2007. So in just looking at the cost for professional services, we would also provide them a limited number of trifold brochures and give them an opportunity, if they wish, to order more at their expense. And then the Custer County Then and Now guide is quite an extensive project in updating it, expanding it, and printing it in color.
Yeah, good description. I move that we accept accept the request for $10,000 of their money to be used for this purpose. I think it's a great thing to do.
Thank you, Bill.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
I have a motion and a second to approve the request from the tourism board for $10,000 to come out of the tourism budget for the use of making these brochures and the Then and Now booklet. Any discussion?
I got a quick question, Deb. How many are you obligated, or are you just designing it and making the initial copies, or are you making X copies for them to start with?
Let me just pull out a piece of paper here. I think what we're going to offer them is that tourism will pay for the design and print mechanical hours. For anyone who needs a logo updated, we will provide that for them. And then we will offer them, let's say, 1,000 brochures. And if they want more, although I get the indication that they feel that is more than enough, we will also provide that. So for the three entities, we're looking at tourism spending about $2,000 towards each entity. And then, so that's 2, 4, 6,000. And then the other 4,000 would be something that's invested in the Custer County Then and Now. When we look at the old Custer County Then and Now, there we're definitely a lot of players in it. And as I mentioned in my email, sadly, the community advisors, which is an extensive list, according to Jackie Hobby, only 2 are either alive or still in the valley. So we are starting from scratch, but we will reach out to the towns of Silver Cliff and West Cliff. We'll reach out to the Wet Mountain Valley Community Foundation, the West Custer County Library, and sadly, the Historical and Genealogical Society no longer exists, and CART no longer exists. So like I said, we're kind of starting over, but we feel that this is a very valuable piece of literature for our community that promotes the heritage and historic touring.
Good, thanks for the info. Good plan.
Anything?
I have another question to ask her, but it's unrelated to the motion.
Okay. Any other discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none. Those in favor of supporting the request from the tourism board for $10,000 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, with the clarification that it's coming from their budget.
From their budget. Thank you, sir. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm sure everyone greatly appreciates it. Question that I have for you with that. Do we have to adjust our budget and, like I'm just making this up right now, put $5,000 in content development and $5,000 in printing, or it doesn't really matter where we put the 10,000?
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's your money. You can allocate it how you
Okay.
see fit.
Okay, very good.
I believe Tom has another question for you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I want to change gears a minute, Deb, with you, if I may. Don't know if you're aware of House Bill 1117 that proposes to expand the use of lodging tax dollars.
Yes, I am aware. That's been on the table for a bit, hasn't it?
Correct, yes. I sat in on the Legislative Steering Committee with Colorado Counties, Inc. They are supporting that bill. They have also asked counties to encourage their local tourism boards to also support that bill. And here's the real crux of it. It's not a money grab. Voters would still, by county, the voters would still need to approve any changes in how that money's to be used. But the counties and the legislatures, Quorum, Roberts, Donovan, the legislatures are behind that, would like to see counties have the ability to use some of that money to work on infrastructure stuff, restrooms, trailheads, trails. And their thinking is it's not enough just to use that money for marketing and advertising. They believe that counties should be able to use those dollars in addition to that to help not only bring the tourists to their counties, but then to help improve the infrastructure so that they can enjoy the tourist experience once they get to the county. And I kind of subscribe to that. I kind of think that's reasonable thinking. I don't know what we're going to do as a county, but we've had a request from CCI to draft a resolution supporting that bill.
Did they include trails development then?
Yes, trails, trailheads, parking and restrooms were the two big things. They said, we're doing a great job of getting tourists here. We're doing a sorry job of enhancing the experience once they get to a county.
Yes, so I am familiar with that bill, and I believe it will help the counties that are absolutely flush with funds as far as having budgets in the millions. We have a rather small budget compared to many other counties in the state, but tourism would love to use the funds to work on infrastructure, trailheads, and to enhance the visitor experience. The thing that has come up, and it kind of segues with reaching out to the heritage entities, is, we have this so-called walking tour, yet we don't have any substantial wayfinding signage for
Right.
something like that. So that is something that we would love to be able to invest in. I mean, we could kind of wiggle and say, oh, well, it is a form of marketing, but if a bill like this passes, it just opens up more opportunities for tourism to invest back in the community.
Right, and initially I didn't realize this was a permissive bill. I thought it was mandatory. Individual counties will have to go to the ballot to lift the restriction on those lodging tax dollars, so we do have local control. When does the tourism board meet again? When is your next meeting?
We're having a Zoom meeting next Tuesday.
I guess I'm asking you and my fellow commissioners, do you think this is something that we could ask the tourism board to discuss and see if they want to support this resolution or this? I just forwarded you all this information to Deb. Sorry, I got it yesterday. And at least ask them to consider that and see if they would want to support this.
Yeah, I
And
think
if so. We could draft a resolution if that's our choice or if that's our
Are
decision.
you already doing that, Debbie? What were you planning to do with it? It's been around for a while.
Well, we knew of it, but like I said, our budget is rather small compared to these other entities that I believe it was Telluride that may have got it underway. And you're talking about millions of dollars. So I think they're looking at, pushing some funds towards attainable housing. I don't think our budget would cover much in the way of something like that, but smaller projects with trailheads, infrastructure, wayfinding, that would be great. So I did get your email, Tom, and I will add it to the agenda for Tuesday. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't support this bill.
Okay, yeah, initially when the wheels started grinding on this, I really did think this was just a money grab. They were wanting to take money from tourism and spend it on other things, but it still has to be related to tourism. It's just opening Title 29 and 30 up for other uses, and signs were another big topic there that, the wayfinding thing could be advantageous to counties. So I don't think I would support writing a resolution without the tourism board's support behind it. But if the tourism board is on board with that, I think it's something we should look at and move forward.
Yeah, be aware, Debbie, if you guys do want to do it, you need to kind of help write the resolution. And and you would have to get with Clint to do that. He can legalize it, but and find an example from another county too.
I sent you a sample resolution.
Okay. No, I think this is all good. As I said, we have done very well in 2021. And because of that, we just feel that this is our opportunity to invest back in the community, to not only enhance the visitor experience, but also to help the organizations and individuals that bring the events that bring the people in. So I think it's all very exciting.
One other point too is you would have to also help build if it goes, I guess we plan to put it on this year's ballot in order to have it be approved in time to do anything with it. And you'd have to write the pros and cons, help write the pros and cons of whether it should be done or not for Kelly to put in the system.
Okay, so is the first step is that tourism has a board meeting to get on board with this thing, and then we help you write the resolution. The resolution is the first thing.
Yeah.
And then once that is in place, we consider how to write, I don't know what it's called, for the election.
Get it to the citizens for a vote.
What's it called, though? Is it a,
I'll ask Kelly, what do you call it?
Well, it'd
It's
be a
just getting it
ballot.
on the ballot.
It would be a ballot
Ballot
initiative,
initiative.
and that's down the road. It wouldn't
That's
have
down
to
the
be
road.
this year, but
That can be any year. It depends on.
I think from my perspective, if we want to move forward with this, then we ought to maybe look at putting something on the agenda for the month, because I'm not sure exactly when this goes to committee, but CCI would like these letters or these resolutions as soon as possible. There wasn't a drop dead deadline, but Katie first did ask to get those to her as soon as possible. So in my thinking, yeah, if tourism meets, have your discussion. If you decide to move forward, then make that recommendation to the commissioners. We can finalize the resolution, vote on it, and send it on if that's what we choose to do.
okay, and I assume that if something like this passes, that tourism can still hold on to the budget that we have as
Yes.
far
Yeah.
as the expenses that we have, but then if there's extra money, we don't have to necessarily spend it on marketing.
Exactly. That's what it really is all about, that you can spend that money on stuff other than marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
And a great example would be this $10,000. If you guys said, hey, we want to earmark $10,000 out of our budget to do other things, then you'd be able to do that. Now you cannot, according to the law.
Right, right. And then just so you know, I don't know if you remember, but we are involved in the Restart Destination program, and we are in the thick of that, and will receive a $10,000 marketing support. That isn't money that will come to us, but CTO kind of spends it for us. And then just yesterday, they announced a brand new grant, which we were sort of aware of. So we did allow for it in the budget. It's the Tourism Management Grant that provides funding for tourism-related projects that develop, enhance, or manage visitor experience. So VistaWorks will be writing a grant asking for $20,000 from CTO, and then our match is $5,000. So it's a 4-to-1 match, and that will also go towards eligible projects, some sort of product development, or some sort of infrastructure. So we're just going to piggyback on what we've already started, but hopefully have some more funds from CTO.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and there's a sample resolution that I would recommend you take to your board.
Okay, I will do, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next item on our agenda would be consideration of the ARPA update and expenditure reporting.
Welcome.
Andrew, you got the hot dog.
Morning. You, Kevin.
Thanks for being here.
Bill, my pleasure. It's a beautiful day.
Yes, it is.
Thankful to the Lord for
Yeah.
the snow,
Finally.
Getting what we need.
beauty and inconvenience for a couple days. Give us a month or so of extra water for the hay.
Yeah, I like Shannon's comment. Remember the good old days when it snowed and nobody cared? You just plowed through it.
You're just like, oh, it's Wednesday.
Yeah. Used to get snow all the time.
So I have a few items to report to you all that just to bring you up to date as to where we are that I think you might appreciate. Number one, and I know it's of interest to you all, it has to do with reporting. Reporting up the chain to the state and or federal agencies who are wanting to know what's going on. And Tina was going to be our reporter, but with her absence, we are trying to find a new reporter. Reggie Foster has said she will give it consideration, and I'm thankful for that. And we would then be paying her at the hourly rate that you all pay her for being your, what do you call it, publicist? What's her title?
Public information officer.
Public Information Officer. And I will be handing off to her the documentation that's come from the federal level that talk about the reporting requirements. The old documents indicate that our next time of reporting would be like the end of September and do the end of October. But there's this new final
The new final rule.
which I thought, that's presumptuous.
And this is really,
The interim.
I
final rule.
can't believe it's the final rule, which indicates that at our level, meaning that we are a county with less than $250,000 and our amount of money is less than $5 million, that our next time of reporting is the end of April. And so there's a discrepancy between the final ruling and the old documents. I imagine the final ruling is the one that's is correct. And so we've still got 3 more months before our next time of reporting. And I'm hopeful that Reggie will take that responsibility on. The reporting part is not so burdensome. It's reading through all the documents to be sure that we're covering all the bases.
that they asked for. Huh?
Yeah, and getting it all right. And she's at this point thinking she'll be willing to read through all those documents and then take on the responsibility. I said, keep track of your hours, we'll pay you for the time it takes you to read to know. It's such an important aspect to the whole program that we want somebody who has a little bit of credibility and responsibility even to you all in her current job as the PAO.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, my perspective is this is the crux of this whole thing. If we don't get this right, we'll be on the hook for that money.
Yeah.
So
It's really important.
we need to do a good job of that, and whatever that takes, I'll support.
There already was a reporting window that Tina took
Right.
care of.
Yes.
The next time that it looks like we've got a report is another 3 months from now. And so we've got eyes on that, and we've got a plan. And I'm thankful that Reggie's willing to look it over at least and give it consideration. I was going to pass off the docs to her today, but I think the snow has hindered her from coming.
He's online. Are you there, Reggie?
Yes,
Oh.
sir, I'm here. Good morning. Agree with all that Andrew said.
Good.
Thank you.
We're on the same page there.
Okay.
Is it the old page? It better not be.
Yeah. Now, her being a reporter for us does not mean that she's our secretary. Marcy Gregg has taken on the position of secretary, so she's taking the minutes at our meetings.
Is she a voting member now?
She is now a voting member. Bob Hollingsworth was one of the voting members and Marcy was the alternate. But because of Bob's health and his not being able to make it to the meetings, we have switched that so that Bob now is the alternate and Marcy is the voting member.
You touched base with him lately. He's back in town and is doing pretty well.
I have emailed him in regard to this, but I didn't know he was back in
Yeah, he's
town.
back in town.
Okay.
His wife's been here the whole time.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
do we need to appoint her to that committee as a voting member?
I believe it would probably be prudent for us to go ahead and make that change.
That's an update.
I think it's more critical to appoint her as a voting member. I'm not as concerned as moving a voting member off, but bringing a voting member on. I think it would be prudent. So
Let's see, did she always had the power to vote if somebody else couldn't? Is that right? She was a stand. Isn't that how you structure? I can't remember.
It was kind of that way. Yes.
Okay,
That's
we
kind
need
of-
to formalize it. for
Yeah,
sure.
and I think what it would be, we as a committee went ahead and voted to do that, but if you ratified that,
Well, it's an update to
motion.
your committee and we need to.
Yeah, I think that's
yeah,
appropriate.
I would move that we appoint Marcy Gregg as a voting member of that
I'll
committee,
second.
of the ARPA committee.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to make Marcy Gregg a voting member of the ARPA committee. And I also have a second. Any discussion on that?
in the way of discussion, if I may, is that I've communicated to Bob, we want him still to attend, and his input is as valuable as a voting member, really.
Yeah, and I think we were smart to do that alternate from the very beginning for this kind of situation.
So he becomes still a voting member.
Well, no, he's an alternate.
I mean, an alternate.
He's an alternate, but
If he had to stand in.
with a welcome to the committee to give input.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we worded it initially with Marcy, that we encouraged her to attend all the meetings and have valuable input. I don't remember that we ever gave her voting powers necessarily, but
I don't think so.
so I think we're on the right track.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of making Marcy Gregg a voting member on the ARPA committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right. Among Marcy's position, responsibilities also as secretary, she is becoming the recipient of the applications, and she is scanning those and putting them into a secure online file so that they are in the cloud, connected to our Gmail account and in a secure place, just so that, if the location where the hard copies are burns down or something, we've still got backup. We've got backup.
If I may, sir, have you guys developed at least a procedure where you notify the applicants that, yes, your application's been received and this was the date we received it? Or if not, maybe you ought to consider that. So down the road, somebody said, well, I sent you my application.
That's a good idea.
Just that documentation, we got into a little of that with that.
Yeah, you know whether we had it or
Relief
not.
Fund. Somebody thought we got an application and we never did get it. So at least this way we could confirm receipt of those
I
applications.
think we had a case where somebody didn't know it. We were ready to hear what they had and they didn't know to come.
Trinity Huffman is our email monitor. He's checking it daily. He receives the applications that are coming through email. He also receives the requests for applications and sends them out. After he gets them and fields any questions that are minor questions, he then sends those applications to Marcy. And what I mean by minor questions, we've decided that he doesn't need to feel the responsibility to handle all questions that come. He can wait until our next meeting and present them to the committee.
Like a procedural question.
Right, right.
And Marcy's picking the applications up here.
Correct.
And that's the only two avenues.
Well, applications may be picked up at any of the libraries, the Wetmore Library, or
That's
our
right,
local
yeah.
library,
I
or
remember reading.
Kelly's office. Both papers have published the program, and the local radio station has done an excellent job on daily presenting how to apply.
Good.
At this time, I think we've only received 5 finished applications, but we still have 2 more months. And so I'm not thinking that we're out of line at all and only having received 5.
That's just for the first 400,000 or whatever.
Yeah. Dollars, I mean, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought there'd be a big flood within the first week or two, but
I think we'll see a big flood coming in here in the next month and a half. Let's see. I know there's been some questions from the public as to who is on the committee, and I think it's safe to say that each of the members on the committee are experienced senior level leaders and even strategic level leaders. And it's a pleasure working with everybody. We're all doing well. And no one on the committee themselves are planning to apply for funds for themselves or for their organizations. And if that's helpful for the public to know.
Yeah, it is. not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense that we ought to publish that list or not?
Oh, of who's on
the
it?
committee?
I don't have a sense that it's needed, but if you think that it is.
It's public
nobody-
record. I mean, we voted on that committee in a
Yeah.
public meeting, so as far as the transparency goes, we're covered. I just didn't know
Yes.
what your sense was, so.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, that maybe gives you an update.
Very good, good progress.
Yeah. Our last meeting was the 20th of January. Our next meeting is the 15th, but we're in communication with each other by email on a weekly, daily basis.
Very good.
That concludes my report.
Thank you.
I appreciate all
Might I
that.
ask a question of
Yes,
Mr. Zeller?
yes, you may.
Andrew, so I know the first applications are due in another couple months for the first half, if I'm
Well,
roughly.
that is kind of the way that it maybe was said here, but my thought is that in May, we will get the second half of funds. And so my thought is that the applications that are coming in right now
Keep coming.
could be, should also be considered for the whole pot, not
Okay.
just the,
And that was
The
gonna be
first-
my question, because,
first half.
well, you and I have dialogued a little bit about the application that I'm about done with.
yes.
And so I was just curious if it's limited to,
Right.
okay.
No.
My thought was the application period was for the entire 984,000.
Right.
That was
Yes,
my thought.
that's our thought too, as a committee.
That was a question I'd had at a previous meeting,
Okay.
because I thought there might be more than one round of applications. But I think at that time it was addressed that there was a good chance that the whole sum could be expended within this first round. If there were a need after that to open it up again, then we could and would. But that's not, it would, there's a possibility that this first round would be the only round.
Right.
That's the committee's hope too, that there's just going to be one round of,
But if it's not, if we don't expend those dollars in the first round, I'm assuming your committee's prepared to deal with another round of applications, another window.
yeah, we'll deal with that at that time, yeah.
Makes sense to me. Good question.
That cover everything you needed?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Anything else,
Andrew.
Andrew? Okay. That is the last of the new business that's on our agenda. Is there any other additional items of business that either one of you gentlemen have?
I do that, so.
No, I don't have it.
Go ahead.
I'm assuming you gentlemen are aware that we're in receipt of a letter from an attorney. I indicated to our attorney that I was going to mention this morning. Certainly don't propose taking any action on that, but I think we're going to have a discussion with our attorney about that. Clint, are you still on?
I'm here.
Did you get a chance to read that letter?
I did, and I've done the research. I can give you my legal response in an executive session, I guess would be the best way to do that.
I would agree. And that being said, do you want us to schedule an executive session for the mid-month meeting on the 16th?
That's fine with me.
Okay. I know there was a stated deadline in the letter, and if we meet on the 16th in executive session, we'd be within that time frame, no problem.
That was my thoughts moving forward. I had not been able to reach out to Clint at this time. I was planning on doing that. And if he thought it prudent, possibly even reaching out to, if it moves forward, reaching out to CTSI as well. But that would be a conversation to have with our attorney.
So I don't know that we need a motion to that, but
No,
I would
it's
recommend
scheduled.
we schedule an executive session on the 16th. Clint, if you're good with that.
Yeah, that's fine. I've got the answers now, but let's do it in an executive session.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman.
So Kelly, if we could put that on the mid-month. Thank you very much. Any other items of business?
No, sir.
And then, okay, that brings us to our public comment. If there's anyone that has anything they would like to say at this time, would be your opportunity to do so.
I would just, I know that the Justice Center, you guys are gonna talk a little bit about that at the mid-month meeting. So I just wanted to see if maybe I could come on this, on your mid-month meeting to just update you on a couple things. That the jail standards bill, there's been some significant changes to that. The AG's office has come out pretty strongly against the way it was originally worded. And so I can go into that more at your next meeting, but I just wondered if that would be appropriate to do then. I don't want to drag on the meeting today.
I think that would be good. And that one will be in Wetmore. So
Okay.
just so you're aware of that. Hate for you to show up at the wrong building yet.
Like I would never do that, right?
Never. None of us would. So I'm looking at you again.
Yeah, I don't have the judicial center on February 16th.
I had not gotten with you yet to do that. I had visited with Shannon.
Read your
said that it
mind.
Would be on there.
Yes.
So if we could.
Sorry, I
add
put the cart before
add
the
the-
horse.
add the Justice Center to that. We had visited,
Yesterday.
yeah, I had visited with you yesterday, and I'm trying to get everything engaged here on my end. We had discussed as a board of having a workshop on that. I'm trying to remember if we had set a date for that or not. Do either one of you gentlemen remember?
I don't believe we did.
That is something that I would like to do probably at this time then before we adjourn, is to get a date set for us to meet to discuss our options moving forward and how we would like to proceed. So that would be a workshop
For discussion of the Justice Center.
for discussion
Forward.
of the Justice Center.
You want to do that before the 16th? Or after the meeting on the 16th?
I guess I would ask
Do it after.
Shannon, would you think it would be better for us to have our meeting after you visit with us on the 16th?
Oh, I don't think it matters.
So,
If I, because I mean, as long as I'm open, I could always come to your meeting if you'd like, and then I could just get you up to speed
That's a
there.
good idea.
Because I had a lengthy discussion with Riley Johnson yesterday. And because Bob Johnson's retired, and so he's no longer with them. So I spoke with the new person that would be our contact. His name is Bob.
Is the name going to say the same? Robert?
Brashear, or I have it written down over there, but just about with the jail standards, even though there's gonna be some changes to that. I mean, it's coming down the pike, so we have to plan ahead if in fact you decide you want to try to move that forward again. We're gonna have to do some design changes because we see what it's gonna look like for just one small example. So now you can't have just male and female pods. You also have to have non-binary pods. That's gonna be a requirement at some juncture.
That's great.
We're already starting to see some of that, and so it puts jails in a bind. You can't, if you have a male that identifies as a female, you have a hard time putting them in a male pod because then they get taken advantage of. But if you put them in a female pod, they can.
Just take it.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's just one of those challenges, right? So that's a standard though that's going to be at some juncture, in the next 4, 5, 6 years. And so there's no point in building a jail that doesn't meet those ahead. So anyways,
I think in our conversation, you said there which jail was just finished, they're already doing a $2 million.
Boulder County.
Boulder
County, you know, they're like one of the most up-to-date jails in the state because they have a lot more money than most everywhere else. But they meet national jail standards, the whole 9 yards, and just the law that went in, that goes into effect in July from last legislative session, which is the restrictive housing bill. Boulder's having to go in. It's going to take them 2 years and over $2 million to retrofit their jail just to meet the standards that were passed last session. And so Sheriff Pelley's, he doesn't know what they're lobbying the legislature right now to push those requirements, the deadline back, because jails.
Where are you getting the money, right?
Well, not only that, I mean, they're saying you have to meet the standards by July. And the contract, and they've already started work, and the contractor said it's going to be 2 years before we're done with this.
Yeah.
So those are the ever changing. So anyways.
And you can't bet on it not changing again. He can't be designing that what might or may not even happen, because that may change all around. You know, who knows?
Right. It's definitely a moving target right now.
Tom.
Thank you, sir. I've got two things then I would recommend we put on the agenda for the February 16th meeting to consider a workshop date for the Justice Center. Then that doesn't get dropped between the cracks. And then secondly, a comment back to Sheriff Byron, if I may. House Bill 1063 of the jail standards, CCI took an official position to amend that. And they're going to try to amend that to make that whole piece a study.
Right. So
we'll see.
I was on the legislative call last Thursday, and we were actually discussing this point and the concerns, because the entire law enforcement coalition, in addition to the bill sponsor, Representative Mobley from Boulder, we've been working a lot on this, and we've got some criticism about it because we've been working, but we know that jail standards are going to happen at some juncture. Well, there's a lot in there that we don't necessarily love, but we can live with. But the wording really, it seemed like they were trying to set standards right off the bat, and that was not really the intent. And so Representative Mobley actually called the main person that's kind of been driving with our coalition while we were discussing that in the legislature. He went off. He suggested to her, let's switch this to a study, or it's not going to pass, because the AG's office. And so if the AG's office was against it, then the governor's office, and that's because the brunt of the cost was going to be on the state and not on counties. And so,
and CSAW came out in a position of oppose on this, right?
I don't know what CCI, I had not heard.
Okay. I think that's what we were told, but
it's going to be a study now. And if that bill was supposed to be introduced today, but because I got an email from Rep. Mobley, it's not happening because of the weather. So she's going to let us know when it happens. So,
okay. So anyway, that's an update there.
So yes, if we don't want to try to set a date today, we need to do that at our mid-month then.
I guess we could do it today. I just thought we had a better grip on our schedules on the 16th.
Okay, that's what.
Okay, I would just reiterate. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I would just reiterate. At the 16th, we need to get something set up, because our wheels turn slow, and if we, depending on the direction we choose to go, we need to know what we're doing, and that's just why I keep bringing it up. So,
yeah, and if I may, sir, just real quick, I want to share this commission. This proposed commission would include 2 county commissioner seats. So I think we need to stay on top of that and try to get some rural Colorado representation there.
There's going to be a lot. That's so funny you mentioned that. So that's going to be one of the biggest negotiation parts in this bill. Is right now it's a 20-person commission, and no reasonable. Okay, I shouldn't say it that way. Anybody that's sat on many commissions know that when you have a commission of that size, you're never getting anything done because you can't get everybody on the same page. And so we think that's going to get trimmed down. I mean, quite frankly, it should probably be in that 8 range.
10, yeah.
Yeah, I think even getting much bigger than 8. And so, you know, we argue that there should be a sheriff from every class of county. That's 5, because Jefferson County Jail and my jail are 2 different animals. And so neither one of us could speak from perspective on those. So that's why that's in. We'll see.
Yeah, currently the legislation calls for 5 county sheriffs, but to give you an idea how political this becomes, one of the commission members is supposed to be representing lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer advocacy organizations. So everybody's going to want a seat at this.
And another representative has to have been incarcerated in a jail. And I believe a minority that's been incarcerated in a jail. I mean, it just gets really into the weeds instead of really focusing on.
So you're gonna have 6 different pods for 20 different kinds of who they think they are. It's crazy.
It'll be interesting how it bets out.
It is.
Right. Communities of color, communities with disabilities, communities with mental disabilities. It just goes on and on. That's why that ended up being 20 instead of a reasonable, manageable number. But everybody wants a piece of that. So none of those groups are going to pay for it, obviously. It'll either be the state or the counties that pay for it. So. Anyway.
Okay, anything else on this item or anything else?
Just for the record that we are going on our jail tour today.
As soon as you guys are done with any additional business, we can walk over there.
This discussion just astounds me to a certain extent. I'm thinking that counties that have a certain level of population should have an exemption from having to have jail housing for every sexual preference. And there should probably be something like, if you're less than 100,000 population, you're allowed to only have a male-only facility or something. It's just ridiculous.
Right, and go to a state-made one for other kind, you know.
Correct.
Just like we do with females now,
transportation.
you get it, you go to this other jail that is big enough to accommodate everything else.
I served for a number of years at the U.S. disciplinary barracks, the military prison in Leavenworth. And we had to have a cadre force of about 80 to take care of the female population of 12.
Yeah, that's why I think it's important that we get ourselves educated, we stay in tune to this. And which I expect the state to say, we're not going to pay for this. The county's got to pay for this. We need to be at that table and
right,
you know, be pretty articulate. So thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I would also say too, so in that bill, you know, it offers up that as it's proposed right now, obviously that's probably going to change to some degree, but it says that the counties can opt out and they can house,
right.
You can have a cooperative agreement with another county and they can house inmates. But we're already seeing that a lot of those counties are like, we're not playing that game, because as you see with all these standards, on top of how the jail is, it's all these additional services that you have to provide. For example, you know, we're now required, let's say that we have an individual that comes in has a heroin addiction. So we have to provide services for rehabilitation and, you know, that they're willing to do, but it doesn't stop when they get out of jail.
No.
We are then also required, we have to set up appointments for them to go to, after they're out of jail and a free human being, we have to arrange for appointments for them to get their MAT treatment, to go to counseling and so on and so forth, long after they're out of jail. And so, you know, these days of, you know, them charging $59, $62 a day to house an inmate, that number, if they agree to do it, it's going to jump up to $180 a day per inmate. So it looks good on paper.
Well,
until you start to understand what that really means.
Unintended consequences.
That's precisely.
You know, one of the judicial bills to expand that it's the county's responsibility to notify defendants of an upcoming hearing.
Yeah.
And it was originally
Yeah.
2, now they want to make it at least 4. Phone calls or emails to remind somebody of a court date. I mean, it starts on that end and we're gonna go clear
It's
past.
accountability, right?
Yeah.
If it all comes down to that, they don't hold people accountable.
You know, and unfortunately, and it irritated me, they couch all that with, well, it'll save counties money in the long run, you know, decreasing the FTAs, and you can hide behind that all you want. It's gonna make it worse,
Yeah.
but that's what.
Well, we're gonna see it. We already see this.
That's what all the proponents are squalling. Well, it'll save the county's money. And so who's gonna stand up and say that's a bunch of bull? Not very many people.
Well, if you get drowned out,
Yeah.
because your voice doesn't matter.
Exactly.
I mean, we as sheriffs, we go testify at the legislature and they get up and walk out while we're
Yeah.
testifying because they have no interest in listening to what we have to say. They don't even pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Both of those sponsors, Mbg and Benavides, are both.
Actually, I'll
Okay.
rep them, Mobley's, she's very
reasonable.
easy to work with. She listens and I give her a lot of credit because we do sit on different sides of the aisle, but she's very, very open to listening and working with us. So Rep. Mobley deserves the credit for that. I mean, she really does.
I'm done, sir. I
You're done?
promise. Yes.
Anybody else? Okay, I will adjourn this meeting at 11:25.
Hallelujah again.
Thank you, Andrew, for coming in.
And by the way, Joe, this particular